Thank you all for inviting me back to speak, and also just so I don't forget to congratulate each of the honorees. When I spoke last fall, I was pretty new on the job, and I wanted to outline to you what I consider to be some of the main priorities of the department. And at the time, I basically mentioned three. Number one was, due to the fact that we could apply less resources to the financial crisis, we were going to place more of a focus on the local New York marketplace. And that included the consumer, making sure coverage was available and affordable, the agents and brokers. I indicated at the time I wanted to make the department less a regulator and more a facilitator. And third was with the insurance companies, and I mentioned that I actually want at some point the insurance companies to want to come to New York to do business here and to locate here in New York. The second priority I mentioned was to address certain issues that required special attention, and I'll get to them in a moment. And the third one was to enhance New York's image as a world financial center. And with respect to that, you may have heard over the last several weeks that we have been pursuing a major initiative to restart the New York Insurance Exchange. And I won't get into that too much today because it would take all the time. But just to give you sort of an update, last Thursday we had a preliminary meeting, and we had over 75 people, mostly CEOs from the largest insurance companies and many of the largest investment banking firms. And they came, number one, to hear what we had to say about the proposal, and then number two, our goal was to see if they'd be willing to serve on working groups. And we had 7 or 8 working groups proposed. And we can't believe the response we got. There was almost universal approval, and almost every single CEO has agreed to serve on at least one, and most of the time 2 working groups. So we're guardedly optimistic that this is something that may come to fruition in the future. The last thing I'll just say is we have kind of an alignment of stars with respect to the New York Insurance Exchange, which for those of you who don't know will be a Lloyd's of London type facility in New York. We have it at every level of government. At the local level, we have the mayor very, very involved, and as with the New York City Economic Development Corporation. And we're actually having a dinner at Gracie Mansion with the mayor and with several capital providers that he knows on February 2nd. And we have benchmarks and dates set along the way. So as I return to speak to you in the future, I'll keep you advised on how that progresses as well. With respect to the priorities, with respect to number one, it has been my goal, and many of you have seen it with respect to agents and brokers, to have more of a dialogue and to work to the extent we can together. And many of you have met with me on several occasions on different issues, and that's the way I want to see the department proceed. Because I think working together, there's almost nothing we really can't do. With respect to the insurance companies, I've promoted someone in the department as Deputy Superintendent, and in addition to several other duties this person will have, he will be in charge of a project to streamline rate and form filing. Some of you here today have or will be asked to serve on a task force. We're not only doing it in the department, and I've already gone around to the different bureaus and I've met with everyone and I've seen the process, but we're going to have outsiders assisting, and we're going to get input from them on how to make this better. Again, I want you to want to file a rate or form filing in New York, and I want you to bring innovative products here, not try them out in 49 other states and then say, okay, it's safe to come into New York. Several issues that needed special attention. I'll start with the easy ones. Life settlements, which actually wasn't easy. That was around for several years. And what I did with life settlements, with the help of many people, including Stacy Rowland, Deputy Superintendent here for Legislative Affairs, we brought all the stakeholders in together. And I said, let's get them all around a table and let them explain to each other what the issues are so we can try to work together and come up with a bill we all agree on. And after several late nights at the office and several late nights in Albany, it ended up passing unanimously, and every single stakeholder signed a letter of support in favor of it. We're trying to do that on a number of other issues. One is medical malpractice. That is, an issue in need of immediate attention. And I won't go too deep into this because it doesn't directly affect you, but there's two main problems with the industry, putting aside tort reform. Number one is with the rate setting process. Many of you know there's been a moratorium the last 2 years, so there's no rate increase. The second problem is on the back end is an unfunded liability with MMIP, which is sort of the residuary market of $480 million if it was undiscounted. I've been working with the industry and all the stakeholders, once again, with the medical malpractice carriers, with the doctors, the hospitals, the trial lawyers, you name it. And what I'm proposing on the front end with respect to the rate setting process is to form what they have in the workers' comp area, a rate servicing organization that will provide an advisory rate where all the stakeholders will have a seat at the table at the board, and they'll have input on the assumptions that are made, the actuaries that are chosen, etc. On the back end, I have an understanding with the P&C industry that they'll work with us through an unfunded assessment to have that wiped out. And it is a small amount of money looking at it through the eyes of the P&C industry. It's a very large number looking at it through the eyes of the three medical malpractice carriers that are really remaining. I've mentioned this to several groups, and unsolicited, we've got comments from several national and international carriers who have indicated that they would be willing to get involved if that took place. So I've met with several of the stakeholders on numerous occasions. They're all in favor of it. So we believe the governor will make it a bill of his own, and we'll be able to, a program bill, so we'll be able to proceed with that.